but I'm stupid. I'm gay, but I'm straight. I crop dust in Whole Foods. Baby, what it all comes down to.
Hello, good morning, and welcome. And it is indeed a Sprints and Shop Talk today, which means I get to spend the next 2 hours or so asking writerly kind of questions of my co-hosts and of the chat, and will fall terribly behind on the comments, but it's part of the process. That also means everybody can take a deep breath of relief, because there will be no accountability sheet today. All of the things that you put off this week, you get to procrastinate a little bit more, and all your goals you made last week you won't be held accountable for until next Friday. So excellent.
Shamey Katie is not here today. She is on vacation.
Well, Shamey Katie is always here. Shamey Katie just doesn't have access to the shame button.
Fair enough.
But Katie will always judge you. So if you would like to be shamed, call in.
My DMs are open.
Her DMs
Call
are
in.
open.
Call
and you can, get your rocks off privately. Let's see. While Debasia gets ready, Katie, how are you today?
I'm doing okay. I didn't have a fantastic writing day yesterday. Sorry, just plugging in my Fitband, so I'm going to be sitting for the next 3 hours.
I figure that, given that you never showed up to our designated 5K day, Thursday 5K day.
I know.
Yeah, you didn't even respond to the group chat. That's how bad you were avoiding us. You reacted to one of my messages, so I knew you were alive.
Yeah, see?
But
at least I give you that.
I didn't have the decency to respond, so it's fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a really, really, really terrible no good. Just gonna not talk about it that day for writing.
I'm so sorry.
But today's a new day. Yeah, Miranda says, I thought there was no shame today, Wallace. We don't vibe check on Fridays.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I'm not shaming Katie for not doing accountability sheet. That's the only time there's no shame. I'm shaming Katie for
not participating
in the group chat. I don't even care that she didn't participate in the 5K day. I just care that she didn't participate in the group chat. Anyway, let's say hello to people who's here. Danny's here. Kelly, hi.
Hi, how you doing, Kelly?
Casey's here. Julie is here. She needs to get in some words early before force myself outside to wash my car. Ooh, depending on where you are in the world, get that done sooner rather than later, because it's hot. I
don't know if this is the stream for you, Julie. I'm so sorry.
Goop time zones, besties. Hello, Malin is here. Oh, hi, Jod, specifically. Hello.
Hello, Jod.
Casey, I'm sorry to hear this. Today will probably be a very hard day for me, so I'm here to try and keep the doom and gloom at bay.
Giving you all my love.
Very sorry. I'm also very sorry that I threw a funeral in the cafe this morning. Just added to the doom and gloom.
You threw a funeral in the cafe?
I threw a funeral in the cafe today, and the real ones attended. So it's fine.
Sorry.
Julie wants long sprints. I asked people if they had any timer requests for today. People, if I had wanted to know your sprint length request, I would have said, what are people's sprint length requests? I was trying to pawn off the duty of trying to figure out what timer to use. Do people want Goop? Do we want the cinnamon roll timer? Do we want something else? Somebody else to help me in the comments, so that way in a moment of distraction I can pull it up and not have to come up with it on my own right before the sprint starts. But yeah, we'll do 25-minute sprints if that was not the question, but it is what we'll be doing. But don't worry, Julie, I did word it a little vaguely. Nina's here. Hello. Miranda says no sprinting today. Sorry, it's not just Shop Talk, it's Sprints and Shop Talk. So yes, yay, we like the yays. And I swear we will get to Shop Talk eventually, but we always shoot the shit a little bit at the start. Again, more time related. So we're just gonna move on. Marta's here, Becca is here, Caitlin is here. Just the Curly's talking about writing relationships. You love to see it. Oh yeah, Stieg is not here. Did he give us a reason this week?
I think it was work related.
Is it okay?
Work.
It's work. Okay.
His work's been a time, so.
Yeah, Grape, did you not get the red lipstick memo?
I didn't, they don't CC me on those emails.
Mm.
But that's all right.
You're just supposed to get to the brainwaves. You're supposed to be in the brain.
know.
In the know.
I guess I'm just a girl that doesn't get it.
Oh, you march to the beat of your own drum. Thank you. I'm loving all the compliments. Damn. Should do this more often. Should get dressed up. Quick, go put on something red. Cool Gamer is here. Hello. Thanks, Julie. Appreciate it. Although maybe you've disliked the stream now that I teased you about how you answered my question. Again, that was not personal. That was I phrased it badly. Danny says, yo, what? I actually filled out the accountability sheet this week despite not being here last week to do it the day of the stream. This is the thing that we have established. There are no shamies when it is Friends and Shop Talk, mainly because I sign into StreamYard through my own account, and thus we don't have access to all the memes. Katie could send me all the memes, and I could upload them, and then we would have them, but...
Then you would have to run, because I can't.
Or you could just log into our designated
And
account.
anyway, Violet says, lipstick looks good. Kelly is here. Hello. Becca says, I was working on my goals yesterday, being super productive, and then saw we wouldn't have accountability today and probably stopped working and played Sims instead. This is why I tried to post later in the afternoon. Normally and that's just through my own procrastination. Normally I don't make the stream link until like 9 p.m. the night before, or maybe even 7 a.m. the morning of. But yesterday I was being productive and getting stuff done, so I made the stream link and I decided to post it. And I did think to myself, it's like, is this going to prevent people from being productive? And I said, you know what? It's Thursday. If they haven't done it yet, they're not going to do it. But nope, looks like I did. I got Becca. Sorry. I was shaming Katie for being Katie. Hello, Wallace. Especially a good morning to you. Some deep mystery. Good. Insert your time of day here. Hello. Hi, Crystal. Randomize the playlist. That's a good. Oh, this. That'll be our first one. If you hear strange noises, my dog is dreaming and she's barking a little bit. Sprints and Shop Talk means there will be sprints. Cinnamon roll timer. Okay, that'll be our second one.
No.
No. Miranda, why'd you do this?
I don't know why I find this extremely interesting as a concept. We'll put a pin in it. Hi, Zara. Just finished a Plan With Me stream on my channel with Kelly, and it was fun, but I just dealt with 2 trolls who would not quit about being... Oh, no. Oh, no. Boo on them.
Tomato to those trolls.
You go and take a nap and rejuvenate. I'm so sorry. That's awful. Yeah. We either sprints and shame or sprints and shop talk. No in between. I love that. That's amazing.
Sprints and shame.
I got the memo we weren't shaming today and went to the spreadsheet and made round 2 goals. That's very nice.
John is on top of it.
I like Kelly asking how everybody's doing a little check-in. There are nearly 200 timers on the playlist now, so randomizing would be fun. Good news. Me and my dog are okay. Great. Glad to hear it. Were you in danger? Had you been kidnapped?
I think there was some sick illness things going on.
Oh dear. Sorry. Well, I'm so glad that you're doing better now. Becca says, I only do things last minute. Having plenty of time to finish something is the most unmotivating thing ever.
It's true.
Relatable. Great Bye, how are you? You were off screen when I asked Katie.
Yeah, I lost my phone. I'm okay. Oh, my voice sounds weird. Maybe I'm not okay.
Reconsidering.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're fine.
I'm fine. She says she jokes and dies.
Can one of y'all take over for a second? Sorry.
What's going on? Wallace says...
See, we can't even click the comments because
I
it's
can't.
Bellissimo.
That's her own
Katie.
channel. Well, it says I was sick and my dog sprained his foot. Ugh. Hope you all. I know you said you guys are okay now, but still
That is sad.
hoping
That is sad when an
Okay.
animal is hurt.
and a human being sick is also bad.
Absolutely. Oops, yeah, sorry. Taking that control back real quick. Okay. So for sprints and shop talk, we're about to get into our first sprint, but for any people who are not used to sprints and shop talk, because they have become a bit of a rarity these days, I put up a banner with a question on it that is related to our overall theme today. And today's theme is writing relationships. And I have to say that I got this theme specifically from a website called Scribbler, which is, or I think it's goscribbler.com, but it's a subscription box I used to subscribe to. And inside the subscription box, they have a lot of writing passports, which are like their topics for the month. And I discovered that I can basically straight up take their ideas and use it as my own for sprints and shop talk, and now I don't have to come up with topics, but we do come up with questions ourselves. And most of the questions this week were actually created by Miss Grapple Fry Devesha herself, and she specifically requested this first question, I think mainly because she wants the tea.
Mm-hmm. I said I don't want to answer this question, but I want to know. I want to know people's answers.
Well, based off of your placement on the screen, you will be the first person answering this question once the sprint is done. But before with that little bit of teaser, today we're talking about writing relationships. We're not just talking about romantic relationships. We're talking about any kind of relationships, how you have your characters interact with each other, well, I don't want to spoil any of the potential questions, but yeah, just character interaction and relationships within stories of any kind. And normally, yeah, I like to dive in with kind of a low ball question, easy. Slow ball question is low ball. Low ball's when you're making like an offer and you go under what you actually do. Never mind. A slow
Curve? No,
yeah,
not a
I
curve
don't know.
ball.
Whatever. I go
Add
with typically an
whatever
easy
metaphor.
question to dive into, get people comfortable. We're not doing that this time. We're going immediately with Devesha's question. Question 1. Do you ever use writing as a way to explore your own interpersonal relationships? And really, this is not a yes or no question. The question really is, tell us all about how you use your writing to explore your own interpersonal relationships. And I want to know a lot about it. I want to know if you use it out of anger and if it helps you work through your anger. I want to know if, just tell us.
Colin, literally, we're standing by.
So you can go ahead and answer that question during the sprint. You can wait until the end of the sprint. The way I like to have it is the chat. I would appreciate answers the question right now or during the sprint, and that way when we come back, I'll talk about it with Devesha and then look at the chat a little bit and then go to Katie and then look at the chat a little bit, and theoretically that will prevent me from getting 30 minutes behind on the comments. Is that real? I don't know. That's not based on data. It's just based on vibes. I think that's correct.
Just vibes.
Mm-hmm.
We are all vibes here.
Yeah, we are.
All vibes, no work.
And we are doing the Zodiac timeline.
Yes. I'm surprised you let this one slide. Miss I hate Zodiacs.
But I love Violet.
But she
what? She hates me. I know she hates me, but that's okay. I love Violet and I want to support her channel. Everybody go and subscribe to Writing Violet. If you haven't, I'm going to like this. Go subscribe to her. She's almost at 400 subscriabers.
Let's get her to 400.
She just put up a write-a-thon vlog that I need to be watching. Oh, shoot. What are people working on today? I totally forgot to ask. Devesha.
Grab it a day.
I'm going to be working on my project I'm almost finished with.
Okay.
The extension of my NK day yesterday that I was not successful in.
You weren't? Did you get a single K at least?
I wrote like 1,500 words, but they weren't all in the project. So
whatever.
I felt like it was unsuccessful because
I just feel bad because I abandoned you and Stieg at a certain point because I had someone come and pick me up and I had stuff I had to do, and I didn't give it a ton of explanation, and I felt bad about that a little while later because I literally left in the middle of a sprint. but next week is going to be better. Next week, our NEK Thursday is going to be good. Katie, what are you going to be working on today?
Good question. Good question. I should be revising, but I also should be doing the midpoint of the other book that I'm drafting.
We are still in the midpoint?
Yes. Oh God. It won't end. It won't end. It won't end. I have one more chapter. There's a big thing that happens. It's like a 2-part midpoint. Okay. It's like something happens. We have like a big thing with like one relationship, and then another thing that happens. And it's just a lot of like angst and pain. And I've been revising Cruel Summer, which is like all just fun vibes. So I'm like, I don't really want to work on that. But Miranda will kill me if I stop working on Invisible String. So I guess we'll find out.
That is tough. That
It
is tough. I am going to be filming a video. Ha ha ha.
Wow. Filming another video to not put up?
Exactly. I'm really trying to break it down because I'm going someplace for the summer. I'd really love to film like a backload of videos so that way while I'm there, I'm not stressing about filming a ton of videos and I can just hang out with my family. So today my goal is to film for 4 separate videos. But this first sprint, I'm going to be filming my opening clip for getting This Book is for October ready for betas, which, surprise, surprise, I said I was going to give it to them on July 1st, which is a week from today, which means I'm completely fucked. But it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into the sprint. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I already see tons of people answering the Sprint and Shop Talk question, which I'm so excited to get to in 20 minutes. Goodbye. Alrighty. Excellent. I like that ending to that timer. It's nice. How did everybody do that sprint, Miss Grapefry?
I did some writing, and then I took my dishes upstairs. Oh, I missed one. Dang it.
Okay.
Sorry. How'd the writing go?
Good. I was just like tweaking the last chapter that I wrote.
Okay. Katya?
I did okay. I started. I feel like restarted this chapter about 600 times yesterday. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna write whatever, and we can fix it in editing later. So, because it's like kind of a new scene, but like not really a new scene. It's just in a different perspective. So, I got 132 words. So,
Alrighty.
Good.
Alrighty.
how'd you do, Miss Wallisina? Did you
Oh.
get your video filmed?
No, I didn't have any room on my SD card, so I was like, okay, I'll just put some stuff into Final Cut Pro. And then I opened up Final Cut Pro, and I'm not kidding. When I like, this is not an exaggeration when I say I have footage for over 10 separate videos on my SD card, which is why I ran out of room. So I said, you know what? This would be a great first sprint to like get all the footage in its place, because that's kind of one of the things that's been stressing me out is like that first organizing step. And I feel like once all the footage is organized and ready to start editing, I'll start editing them. We'll see. But anyway, so I spent that entire sprint figuring out how to like what's my best strategy for using Final Cut Pro, because I'm officially done with the whatchamacallit, the trial run. I've officially purchased it because I really enjoy it, but I need to make videos in order to make that purchase worth it. So yeah. Anyway, I spent that sprint trying to figure out organizing Final Cut Pro stuff. Yeah, now on to the sprints and shop talk. And Devesha, I hope you're ready because you're in the hot seat. I'm switching it up as I ask it to you out loud. How have you
Feels
used
illegal.
your writing to explore your own interpersonal relationships?
And my answer would be that I don't think I do. I don't think I have. Only because I like to write about relationships I feel like I needed to see as a kid, you know? So
Can you define that for me? What do you mean by needed to see?
Like, you know how in media you don't see a lot of like Black female friendships
Okay.
portrayed well, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I write a lot about that. I don't use it to explore my own interpersonal relationships per se, but the interpersonal relationships I feel like young Black children need to see.
Okay. So then my follow-up to that is when you are writing, what are you pulling from in order to write those friendships? Are you writing from your own friendships? Are you writing from an idealized form of friendship you've seen in media and then just converting it to your own experience? What are you pulling from?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe I'm pulling from a little bit of both. Both
Both what?
my own relationships and like an idealized version
Mm-hmm.
of relationships, of good friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Because because I feel like a lot of it is just in the character creation. Like it's not a one-to-one. Like these characters perfectly match me and my friends, so I'm
Sure.
pulling from me and my friend's experience.
Sure.
It's like these characters are their their own people, so like this funny scenario may have happened in my friend group, but they're all gonna go about it a different way. They're gonna like internalize it a different way.
Mm-hmm. Have you done that? Have you had something happen in your friend group and you then incorporated something similar into your story, even if the outcome was different?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I have because I'm unimaginative.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, that's true.
Shut up.
Have you ever had a moment though where you've been with people and they say something or something happens and you thought, I have to include this in something somewhere?
Yes. I have a lot. It's like a lot of like little funny, quirky moments between friends. Like, when someone misremembers a song lyric. Not calling out Steeg, but um but yeah.
And would you say friendships are the thing you explore the most often?
Yes.
Or when, and sorry, I just had a complete glitch in my brain. I meant to say not that they're what you explore the most often, but if you do pull from them, you pull from them often. Do you ever write sibling relationships? Because you're an older sister. Do you think being an older sister ever informs the way that you write parental relationships with their kids or sibling relationships within your stories?
I think it does inform the way I write it. I do include a lot of sibling shit in my shit.
Mhm.
Um, but parental wise, I like to write parents not as like, complete negligent, abusive, YA stereotype.
Mhm.
Um, I like to write parents that are good parents but flawed in some way. Um, Shit, well, maybe I am exploring my own interpersonal relationships. Whoa.
Therapy with Bellissimo.
Do you want to expand on that?
Um,
What that realization was that you just had?
no.
No, you don't have to.
No,
I
I
won't push
don't.
that. I won't push that. I won't push that. If you don't want to explore that, that's fine. That's for you to, in your own time, in your own place. Well, thank you. That was a very well thought out and well discussed answer. Do you have any other little tidbits that you'd like to say? Let me ask you this. How do you think, as an observer to other people too, as someone who just said, "Oh, I don't really do this," but then discovered that they did do this, how do you think Katie and I explore it within our writing before we even answer?
Hmm.
She's about to read us for.
I can't wait. I love being read.
No.
Drag me.
Well, Waltz is kind of easy because Waltz is all about the family dynamic.
Oh,
She's got a lot of. I think it depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about like Typifo? Or are we talking about EC? Are we talking about just in general,
mm.
like a common thread? Because I feel like a common thread is like the sibling relationships
Hmm.
for Wallace.
Interesting.
For Katie, I don't know. I'll have to do some more thinking about Katie.
Okay. Yeah, we can return to that. I'm going to go to the comments for a little second. I think this is kind of where it started. This is a lot to unpack. I will have you all remember that I will remind you that it was Devesha who came up with this question. So anything that is discovered here, you can attribute to her.
Which she has a psychology degree. So
that is correct. She does have the degree. She's our educated bitch. All right.
Uneducated.
Mom says, what's really strange is all my characters have effed up dysfunctional families, but I have a really nice, healthy relationship with mine. So I don't know where it's coming from. Do you, Mullen? Do you really?
Maybe you wish your family had more drama.
Maybe you need to think on that more. Maybe it's not. We all think our lives are normal until outsiders see it and are able to be like, yo, what the fuck? So, no, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you have a very happy, healthy relationship.
I'm sure the Tries family is amazing.
The Tries family try their best. That's
so lame.
Ooh, we have another educated bitch in the house, or educated ladies. Sorry, I don't know if you consent to me calling you that word. Devesha has never not consented, so. As a psych major, I use writing to explore relationships constantly. I love dissecting the way people talk, relate, talk, love one another. Friendships, romantic, family, they're all so complex. I agree. They really are. And I feel like it's a kind of a hallmark of a good writer if you can make a relationship feel real. I think there are a lot of times we read stories and you're just like, well, and I think it's a mix, right? It's good understanding of relationship dynamic and also just good dialogue, because you can have a good relationship dynamic, the dialogue sucks, and so you're like, well, this doesn't feel like a real conversation. But
Okay, way to call me out like that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I was not calling you out.
It was a joke because
Oh,
I
okay.
was how much
Okay,
my
gotcha.
dialogue sucks.
Who were you calling out?
I know I wasn't calling out anyone. I was just saying that that's something I was calling out. Never mind. There was a book that I read as part of a writing experiment when I first started this channel. A certain
Gabriel's Inferno?
potentially maybe that, where the relationship dynamic, even though made me very uncomfortable, you can argue that there's a really interesting aspect to it, but the dialogue never really it didn't pull its punches, but it's the same kind of failure as pulling your punch, right? Where it just never actually got to the emotional heart of what could have been explored within that story. Or actually, I should say, it didn't explore what I wanted the story to explore, which isn't a general critique. It's just a personal preference, is I guess how it should say. It was glorifying a type of relationship that I don't think deserves to be glorified. Anyway, moving on. Oh, wait, I totally skipped this comment. I should use writing as a way to see what it's like to have a healthy relationship with a father or mother. But what I do instead is make my characters just as traumatized as myself. Fair enough.
Valid.
Who doesn't?
Mm-hmm. I think it's really hard to not use writing to work through relationships. I often rewrite interactions into my stories so they play out the way I wish they had. Yeah. Have you guys ever done that where you've had a bad conversation with someone and then you're like kind of using elements in it and then you come up with the perfect retort that you're like, oh, I should have used that in the actual conversation? No?
Not in my fiction. I'm definitely sitting there like in the car. Oh, that bitch. I should have like, she told her to go fuck herself, but never in stories.
I don't know what that was referring to. I'm gonna sorry, there's some non-sprints and shop talk and I have to skip over it. I'm sorry guys, in order to stay on track. Julie says, even if it ends up being subconsciously, I put bits and pieces of my relationship into character interactions. It's easier to write what you know, right? I totally agree. No, that would involve me addressing my emotions, and that's gross. All my characters have their own unique trauma and relationships.
Oh, Becca.
Jessica says, I think the only time I've done this is when I wrote 120,000 word fan fiction in like 2 months when one of my friends died in 2010. So I'm just out here wondering if this is where I'm going wrong. What is where you're going wrong? As in, you need more of your friends to die, or maybe it's that. Sorry, that came out like I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from. You have a lot happening in your life. And I don't know if that's necessarily a thing that you need to say. It's where you're going wrong, I think is what my point was.
I think she's saying she's going wrong in not putting her interpersonal relationships in her writing.
Oh.
Because, when she did it, she was able to knock out a large word count in 2 months.
But here's my question.
Struggling to write now.
No, but here's my question. What kind of emotional toll did writing that fan fiction take on you? Because it can be very cathartic to write your emotions, but then afterwards, it can also be very painful. And afterwards, maybe as a writer, you just kind of shut down that route for yourself as a form of self-protection. And I think it's an interesting question of whether or not it's worth reopening it in order for the sake of productivity. If it's for the sake of healing and stuff and, creation of art or whatever in your own humanity, then maybe it is worth exploring. But just in terms of like becoming productive again, I don't know. As someone who has definitely shut off branches of herself for compartmentalization and survival, I'm not the best to ask this, actually, because I'll just be like, yeah, bitch, subdue it. Keep those feelings hidden, babe.
Lock it down.
Lock it down.
Burn it. Throw it away. Processing emotions? No, thank you.
No, could never be
No.
me. Could never be me. Just call me pulls her punch girl, always. Crystal says, my first draft of the story from 12 years ago was legit my way to work through a combo of really bad breakup during shitty home life crap to the point where the story was all about fam and friend betrayal.
It's rough.
Yeah. You do not need to use that at all. That some people do, but I can figure it out. Don't worry. You're good. You're in the clear. Anna says, I wrote a short story years ago about a character who declined a marriage proposal when I was thinking through with the topic myself. Girl, this is too vague. Give us the details. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you almost not marry your husband, or was this another man who proposed to you? And you, I need to DM me, Anna. DM me your life story.
Call in. Leave a voicemail.
Anna, without actually having to blast all of your details on the internet, would you at least be willing to follow up with how writing helped or hindered the process for you? Did it help you work through it? Did it just make you more confused? Let us know. That is a legitimate follow-up question, but you are not obligated to answer. Katie, we are going to get to you. I just want to get through just a couple more of the comments.
Oh no, this is fun.
Kelly says, I put a lot of my queer non-binary journey into my finished manuscript. It has a lot of how I came out to people and dealt with the fear of losing people I love. I think that's legitimate, and I think that can really strengthen a story because the emotions are real. I think, not to make the conversation about myself again, but I think one of the reasons I always say I pull my punch is because my experience with certain emotions is very limited. And I only have, not only, but the majority of my experience with certain emotions is through literature. And so I pull my punch because I don't want to straight up plagiarize. I don't want to be like, oh, here's just this scene from Twilight. This is the vibe I'm trying to go for, right? And so it feels like I've pulled a punch because there's not a truth there. There's not a truth there. And I feel like when you incorporate your own journey, there's a lot of truth in the story, which I think shines through and people can recognize. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think that's why I can't write romance, because there's not a lot of truth there.
Put a pin in that, because maybe that's a question coming up. Oh, my friend just texted me that Roe v. Wade just got overturned. Sorry, guys.
That was great.
Wow, that just popped up on my screen. Katie, will you take this one while I Google?
Yeah, sure. Danny says, oh, for sure. It's why I love focusing on sibling familial relationship more than any other kinds, because I've got all sorts of baggage in that department. I feel like that's the common thread for all of us, being like, I got baggage to work through. Let's just shove it in a novel. That is correct, unfortunately.
Yeah. I apologize, everybody, for blurting that out loud. I just kind of think I was taken aback. Katie, with that interesting shift in tone, would you be interested in answering this question yourself?
I suppose so, to give us something else to focus on besides this moment in time, which that pretty much sums it up.
All right. Go for it, Katie.
I think it's interesting because I think I more use writing to explore my interpersonal relationship with myself as opposed to relationships with others, I think. So I think, do you have an interpersonal relationship with yourself is like a thing, I guess, I suppose. Because, intrapersonal, Wallace is there. Intrapersonal instead of interpersonal.
Perfect.
Just completely avoiding the question. No, I think I do probably use my writing relationships to deal with my own interpersonal relationships. just like everyone else, I feel like I probably pull from experience, but I don't think I do it consciously. I don't go, ooh, I need to work out this relationship that I have.
Kink.
Yeah, the kink in this relationship or whatever. Like, that's what I was gonna try to say, but I was like, that sounds weird. So I'm gonna reverse it. I don't go in specifically with the intention of being like, I want to explore this thing that happened to me, but I probably do subconsciously, like I do with all of the things usually, because I have been trying to reinsert, because I've always been a very big thing of like, you can't separate the art and the artist, because I think always, regardless of when you try to do that, you will always, the artist will always slip into the art anyway. And from a long time with myself, I was trying to convince myself that I was separating myself completely from the art as a form of escapism. But I think by being more self-reflective with my own ideas when I'm writing is probably more good for me and healthier for me. So I haven't really got to the whole, am I exploring a relationship here? Who knows? But yeah.
Follow-up question.
Yeah, sure. Give it to me.
Actually, follow-up questions
Ooh.
with the S in parentheses. We're just going to go through the list. What aspect of your intrapersonal dimensional self were you exploring in your dark fantasy, The Wrath King?
Sorry, I just saw Violet's comment. Tell me you're an Enneagram 4 without telling me. It's true. It basically just means I'm a creative, pretentious piece of shit. Sorry, what interpersonal relationship was I exploring in The Wrath King?
What element of yourself were you exploring? Oh, sorry, leg shot.
Save it for the OnlyFans.
This wasn't a crotch shot, so
yeah, that's true.
Wasn't a foot shot either.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good question. What was I exploring?
Well, if you can't think of something specific for that, is there any one project that you've talked about on your channel that you do think, you know what? Yes, in Be Gay, Solve Crime, Drink Blood, I was exploring. In Cruel Summer, I was exploring. I mean, in Cruel Summer, you're exploring your love for tennis, but you know.
Yes. But I did in Cruel Summer give one of the characters severe anxiety, which is something that I deal with a lot. So it was, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Which is something that I've had to like put into the beginning, because it was kind of like a mid-book realization of like, ooh, this would be interesting if I gave this person anxiety. And then I was like, girl, what are you doing? Me at me. Hello. Yeah. And I think in Be Gay, Solve Crime, I think I was exploring my own sexuality in Be Gay, Solve Crime for the first time with characters, especially because the pandemic really, I was kind of flourishing in 2019. It was like my best year of my life. I feel like I was really, so far, and I feel like I was really growing.
Also rude, because you met us in 2020, so
it's true. But for personal growth ways, 2019 was really good. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I studied abroad. I did all this stuff. Blah blah blah. All these things, and I felt like 2020 was going to be my year. Turns out it was no one's year. So I feel like a lot of my writing and like the end of both The Wrath King and then Be Gay, Solve Crime and all the other things that I've written since then have really been me trying to like have like explorations of like fun things and like having a, you know, like solving a mystery. Like I wasn't going to go out and solve a crime in 2020, but like I get to explore something, whereas like, cause I, you know, lost a lot of my, a lot of momentum personally.
I thought you were going to say a lot of your marbles.
that too. But having that shift in writing and finding this community has definitely shifted the trajectory and arc of my life, which is not a bad thing. I don't think. I think it's just the way it turned out. So I think a lot of my writing has been an escape from the fact that I have, you know, been stuck in my house for 3 years.
Gotcha.
Sort of. I mean, obviously I've gone places. I went on a writing retreat. I'm going on another writing retreat. Like, I'm not chained in the basement, y'all. I'm fine. But in a broad sense.
Thank you. Caitlin says, I've never intentionally done it, but it always shows up somewhere. Every main character I've written in every project so far has a weird relationship with their mother. I acknowledge that it's always been me working through my own toxic relationship with my mother. Yeah, I kind of posed to you the same question I gave to Anna of, and what is the result of you working through it? Is it, do you actually work through it? Yeah, just give us, have you noticed any results from using your writing to work through stuff? Nina says, I once wrote a whole book just to get through the anger I felt for one of my ex-close friends. She wasn't a good friend or influence on my mental health, so I took all that and threw it into a book. I love it. How was the book? Did you like it? Do you think it was good? Grayson, Grayson says, I focus on the healthy and loving mother-child relationship that I wish I had. I make sure that my younger characters feel loved, accepted, and supported. Morgan says, I have done this. I've explored relationships with myself and also sibling relationships. Details, people. Give us details. You know, what were you exploring? What kind of dynamic? What kind of... Ooh, long pause.
I thought so too. I was like, 3?
I just, usually my brain... sometimes I start a sentence without knowing where it's going and my brain will just autofill, but that didn't happen this time. So Zara says, yes, giving myself the chance to have the healthy friendships before I found author too. I like it. Gemini timer, it would be the last one of June. Oh yeah, I guess it did. Oh wow, am I before even the timer? Damn.
No, I think that one was later.
Okay. Finished watching. Oh, people are just talking about all the stuff that they did. Sorry, guys. I have to skip over that because I have to answer the questions. Not necessarily on purpose, Marta says, but I tend to have my main character always be the outsider of the group, as well as in some cases actively get bullied because apparently I'm not over that yet. That's interesting. It was kind of taking me back to what Katie was saying about when she made the active choice to give her characters anxiety. I was thinking, when she was saying that, I was thinking back on a lot of my stories, and I feel like I very rarely actively make the choice to give my characters anxiety, but because I have anxiety, my characters also have anxiety. Like, it's the way that I see the world, and so it's hard to not write an anxious character because I don't know how else to phrase it. I mean, do you guys know what I'm trying to say, though?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like that's your perspective. So regardless of, like, you can't take your bias out, and like that is, and it's not a bias, but like it's a way you see the world, and so obviously the way you see the world is going to affect how your writing is, whether you like it or not.
Because it's almost like I can't, like, it is the way that I see the world, right? Like if someone saw the sky as purple, that's the way they saw the sky. Now, granted, like people could say, oh, you know, but the sky is blue. So sometimes make sure to write characters who see the sky as blue, and that could be easy and you could do that. But when just the way you interact with the world is with anxiety, you almost don't even realize that every single thought is potentially pulled from anxiety. But I go back and I read my stories and I'm like, wow, this person is like in this room and they walk in and the first thing they do is check all the exits. And it's like, why did I include that? You know? And I guess this is almost sad, but the way I take my anxieties out of the story is just through edits. I go in and I just see whether or not it's relevant to a story, and then I take it out. That is kind of illuminating to read what you've written in the past and see about yourself, all the things that you included that weren't necessary. But it's because you were trying to make it realistic. And it's not realistic for everyone. Anyway, Zara says, oh, no, sorry, that's a personal conversation happening between two people. Y'all are gonna bill us for a therapy session after this. I mean, Dr. Wells to the rescue. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just
disclaimer. In case anyone didn't know.
I'm a professional in no way. I'm not medical and I'm not professional. So I'm definitely
You're a professional economist. You have a master's degree in economics.
I don't get paid to do that. So
fair enough.
Yeah, no. The only reason I believe true healthy romantic relationships are possible is because I would stay over at yours and see your parents. Oh, That's so sweet.
So cute.
Oh, I didn't actually skip over you. No,
So
that
funny
is
though.
brutal.
So funny.
Oh God, Kelly, I love you.
That is brutal. A mood, Grape. Life is short. Always go for the F off if you can. I knew we had some sort of kinship. Are you the oldest? Grape got it right. Would my writing be better if I actually put some dang feeling into it? Well, I'm going to reiterate what I said. Shoot the feelings down. You don't need to feel feelings. No, I'm just kidding.
Very much not a medical professional.
Very much not. Don't listen to me. Wallace says, I put so much of my interpersonal history and my own thoughts and experiences with relationships into my current whip that I had to take a break after the first quarter and go world build elsewhere. Yeah, I agree, Kelly. Loving all these vulnerable responses. Y'all are wonderful. You really are. I really appreciate everybody. What's the word? Like rising to the occasion. Does that make sense? Okay. Kelly says, I don't add interpersonal relationships deliberately. It just sort of happens. That's also fair. I think it's, we write our experiences even if we realize it or not. Wall says, for some extra details, in my current whip, a lot of what I'm writing pulls into my relationship with trauma and the friends that can pull you out of it if you let them in. It's very vulnerable. I guess speaking of sibling relationships, I made the main character of Cursebreaker not look like her siblings because as a child, I felt like I didn't match my family because my bio parents divorced when I was, here we go, young, and she got with an Italian man, and he had a son who was biracial, Italian and Hispanic, and another son who was half Italian. Needless to say, everyone was dark-haired, tan-skinned, and I didn't fit, so I made Alara look like her siblings, and she looks like her father who she hates, so she hates the way she looks and wishes she could feel close and look like her siblings. Gotcha. I don't know what we're agreeing on, but I always like to be seen agreeing with you, Miranda, so good.
Anxiety, having to edit anxiety.
Oh, maybe. Marita says, I totally relate to the accidentally giving characters anxiety thing. It's something that I always end up writing into the first draft, and then I try to edit out afterwards. Yeah. I look a lot at how I view myself and struggle with anxiety and depression and how I experience them. With the sibling part, I have 4 siblings, but act different with each of them. That's also really interesting. That is something I was thinking about the other day in terms of a big critique in a lot of stories is how some characters' action feels so out of character. They would never do this. It's so out of character. But isn't that in of itself totally realistic? Don't we all do things that are just completely against our moral code for seemingly no random reason? Oh, maybe I'm like tattling on myself. but
Where's the body, Wallace?
Give me an example.
Give an example. I tend to be really judgy about people who gossip around me. I'm like, wow, guys, we could really be doing something better with our time. We could be like,
for me, Grape.
no, I didn't say anything. I've been this way since middle school. I've been a little prissy bitch about it. I've been like, guys, like, we don't have anything nice to say. Don't say anything at all. Like, we can be talking about something more interesting. Let's talk about da-da-da. Until randomly a piece of gossip I find interesting, I'm like, I want to talk about this. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if I had been a character in a book and that's a rule that's set up for my personality right at the start, then the random weird flips that I do have sometimes where I'm like, oh, I'm just in a goosey, gossipy mood today. Like, you're like, what is this? This is so out of character for her. So I don't know. Can you guys was that a good example? Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think with fiction, at least, there is, unlike our real world, there is a sense of logic and rules for every single thing. Like a lot of when we build narratives, it's about things making sense. And so
it's an interesting claim.
That I think is why it's this is gonna go. Yeah. So I think that's probably why they call it unrealistic for that.
You know, Miranda, I don't think I ever consented to you calling me a bitch. So get out of here. Oh, sorry, I saw this already. Kelly says, I have an exception to not deliberately rule. Wait, what? Oh, I have an exception, not deliberately rule. I have something called a fantasia and ask myself how people with neurodivergence deal with normal magic. That's the thing where you can't see things in your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wallace says, I think the biggest thing that ends up in my writing is my constant fear of being secretly hated. That's interesting. All my characters tend to be very clear about how they feel about each other. Okay. You're a words of affirmation kind of person then. You like to, I don't know, maybe. Is
Love
Wallace
languages.
secretly trying to admit to jumping red lights after all? No.
And I don't jump at the red lights. I just speed up at the yellow lights.
I drive safely and I wear my seatbelt, and everybody else should do that too.
Yes.
I mean, I give all my main characters a little piece of me, but not really anything of the relationships I have. Emma has my bitchiness. Has she consented to you calling yourself that? Have you consented to calling yourself a bitch? Lexi has my sarcasm. Hi, Miss Banana. Roxy has my anxiety, and Daniela has my depression. I see that this was going to be my answer to the question as well, Jess. And Katie answered it the exact same way. And not to give you a read, Katie, this is really just a reflection on me. I think it's a little narcissistic, actually, that all my stories are really just different facets of my own personality interacting with each other, and a way for me to kind of look at it from above and critique them or appraise them without feeling like I'm being narcissistic.
It's very
So-
inside out.
It's very what?
Inside out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mom says, Wallace wouldn't like the amount of friendships I've started on the sole basis of we both hate the same person, started talking shit about them. No, that makes me so sad. But you know what? That's your life. But hey, Aquarius, Sun, Virgo, Moon here, Judgy McJudgmental. Look, I am annoyed more with the astrology than with the gossip, so it's fine. Wallace says, Wallace, I mean, yes, but no. I like the words, but God knows I don't believe them.
Big mood.
Some deep mystery. That is something I do love to explore a lot. The contradictory nature of people as they are, and that affects the relationships too. But my fave is definitely characters who contradict themselves. I'm glad she knows it. Those are the best kind of people. Well, also the worst, but that's okay. It depends on the day that you catch them. All right, we're going to start a sprint because my computer's at 5%, but we're going to pull up the next question, which is a little bit of a pantser versus plotter question, but I figured it's worth asking. Do you plan relationship dynamics ahead of time, or do they, well, I didn't mean to say sprint, do they spring organically from the page?
Do they sprint organically?
And
What's the word count?
let me edit this, hold on. Do they spring? And we're gonna show again. We've emphasized the G. Do they spring organically from the page? And the sub question is, this is really what I want to know because I'm trying to figure it out myself. How do you design character foils? Anyway, we are going to be watching or sprinting for 25 minutes as requested, the cinnamon roll timer. Is this on full screen?
Nope.
Is it?
Okay.
There we go. All right. Happy sprinting, folks. Alrighty. Friend. How did you do, Grape Fry?
I got breakfast and coffee.
What'd you make for breakfast?
Toaster strudels.
Nice.
What flavor?
Cherry.
Oh, that's a good one.
Did you make a pretty design with the icing?
No, it kind of all came out in one blob, so I had to smear it with a knife.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Katie, how'd you do?
Oh. Yeah.
That said so much and so little at the same time.
Yeah.
That was the point. Moving on.
Did you spend it writing or did you spend it on the internet looking up things?
I spent it staring at nothing, so neither.
Any particular reason why?
Just the words are not wording in the way that I want them to, and I'm annoyed by it. I did a little bit of character work because we were talking about characters in this question, so I did like a little bit of that and then spent 20 minutes staring at nothing, thinking about how I'm going to fix this thing.
Yeah, fair enough. And I did more Final Cut Pro organization. I'm just waiting for all. Oh, my import just completed. How about that?
Oh.
So now I can delete all the footage off the SIM card and actually have room. So theoretically on the next sprint, I can start filming. Yay. All right. We're turning back to the shop
It's not
talk.
going to be a next sprint.
All right. Maybe not. We'll see. The question number 2 for Sprints and Shop Talk is: do you plan relationship dynamics ahead of time, or do they spring organically from the page? And a sub question: how do you design character foils? Tanisha.
I think part A of this question depends on if they knew each other at the start of the story or not, for me. Because if they know each other, then yes, I do plan out the relationship dynamics. But if they meet within the story, it springs organically from the page, because I don't know, I feel like I gotta get to know them both individually before I can like know them together. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely it does. So for characters that know each other before the story starts, you say you do develop their relationship. What's your system for that?
My system is just whatever comes to mind. Like I was making characters for something else recently, and I have these 2 characters that I knew I needed. And I was like, oh, I'll just make them girlfriends. And then from there, I was kind of able to like twofold, like develop their relationship and develop themselves individually. Like I was like, oh, they're girlfriends. I kind of want like a sunshine relationship.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so this character is going to kind of be not like a liar, but like a fudger of the truth.
Okay.
You would call her a truther.
Yeah. But in a way where everyone loves them and they don't care that this person has this
Eccentricity.
Thank you. Could not say that word.
Yeah, it's hard.
And this other person is going to be maybe like a little bit more reserved and a little less trusting, but still very inviting. Kind of like that.
I like it. Okay, sub question.
I wish I knew.
Is our foils something that you like to incorporate into your story?
It's something that I never like consciously think about. I think I like to have supporting characters with characteristics that my main character will learn from, but is that a foil? I don't know. I don't know shit about shit.
Me neither. I'll always be like giving Katie stuff especially with the chocolate short stories, and she's like, I love how this person's a foil for this person. I'm like, yeah, definitely. Yeah, for our educated bitch, would you like to say what a character foil is, just since you're in the know and we are in the know?
Sure. So a character foil is essentially when you have two characters that reveal different characteristics about the other one. So, like, what's a good example of one? Like, I think that's why like Grumpy and Sunshine works really well, because like a Sunshine character will emphasize the grumpiness of another character, and the grumpiness will emphasize the sunshine of a character. Like when you were saying with the girlfriend, like maybe the one who is always kind of fudging the truth a little bit will highlight the fact that the other one is a little less trusting and might be a source of conflict because they're have something that causes them to be less trusting and such. And foils is essentially just highlighting portions of a character to, and obviously foils go both ways. So whatever is being revealed about one character is also the opposite most of the time is being revealed about the other character. So
do you have a favorite famous pair of literary foils that you think make a good example?
Well, you know me, I'm a pretentious bitch. So one of my favorite foils is Hamlet and Laertes from Shakespeare's play Hamlet. Hamlet is very dysfunctional, depressed, lonely, and all those things. And Laertes,
Mood.
yeah. And Laertes is like the golden son. He's very, protective of his family. He's very well adjusted. He's not. He's a little bit naive, whereas Hamlet, I think, Caitlin was literally. They're very good foils for each other because they show. Because not only do they have this relationship with each other, because Hamlet. Sorry, got some Shakespeare lovers in the comments. So not only does it show Hamlet's like his bad qualities, but it shows Laertes' good qualities, and then they also have a point of contention in their actual literal relationship with each other, because Hamlet has broken Laertes' sister Ophelia's heart, and so
Among other things,
among other things, get thee to a nunnery. Anyway, so a lot of good foils that I love have like their relationship is oftentimes conflicting and contrasting, but also at the same time there are aspects of each other that are also similar. So both Hamlet and Laertes are like the oldest son. They both deal with the death of a father. They both deal with having to take a lot of responsibility, but they deal with them in very different ways, which is why they end up being foils for each other.
And they both die.
Really, yes, they actually kill each other.
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, sorry for me spoiling this 600-year-old story.
Okay.
Whatever. All right. So, wow, I didn't do comments in between. Oh well, whatever.
You didn't really answer the question.
Oh,
I didn't answer the question.
You just were talking about foil. Okay, yeah. So
definition.
great. Thank you.
I haven't talked about my foils yet.
Okay, and you haven't talked about your planning versus not planning.
Yes.
Okay, Wallace says, I do close sketches of relationship dynamics. They alter a bit in writing, but mostly they stay the same. I like to know how people interact before they do. Mullen says, I once read that each of the friends from the show Friends was meant to represent one of the 7 sins, and I've since then tried this. So for each of my characters, I try to think of one main sin. I do enjoy that in media when people are like, oh, like the one where it's like, oh, in Snow White and the 7 Doors, each of the 7 doors represents like one side effect from being like high on morphine or something like that. And it's like, I like it when I think it's a very easy but effective way to create a little bit of depth within your stories if you pick something like that. Like, literally, each of my characters represents the 4 seasons. Yes, it's easy to do, but also that's fun. Once you figure it out, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And I think it also, as a writer, guides you, gives you guidance when sometimes you need guidance. So, yeah, no, I always enjoy stuff like that. And I enjoy the fan theories of like, do you think that, such and such meant for, what's another good one? Oh, whatever. I can't remember. I think there's one with Winnie the Pooh too about like different drugs because
Mental illnesses.
Oh, that's right. Yes, depression, ADHD,
ADHD.
anxiety, and then what does Pooh have?
An eating disorder, maybe?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Ooh. Wait.
No. I enjoy that. Anna says one way to design a foil is to have them embody the change the main character needs to make or lesson they need to learn. Flip side, they embody the thing the main character needs to leave behind. Hold on, I'm gonna make a little note.
Oh.
Those comments so we can go back and take notes at the end.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Okay. I've starred your comment, Anna. Wallace says, when I design foils, I look into a specific belief of a character, a goal they have from that belief, and what they're willing to do to get it. I want the beliefs and goals to be as close as possible, with the belief tweaked just slightly to one side or the other of extreme, and their methods and stop points being very different. I like that. I like the methodology behind that.
Can you star that one too?
Yeah. We're going to be having a workshop once we go backstage.
I'm going to steal this. Steal all these ideas. Snatch them up.
Yeah. Miranda says, for my next book, I literally have a spreadsheet grid where the relationship dynamics between everyone is necessary. They're just meaningful. Miranda, this is content. This is the kind of content AuthorTube needs. Change the names if you need to. Do a little serial filing if you don't want to give your plot ideas away and stuff. But I'm telling you, make this video. Everybody put down in the comments a little.
Spread that sheet, please.
I would. Write down in the comments, I would, if you would watch Miranda's video. Who would watch Miranda's video? Let us know. Oh, I could have just made a poll. Whatever. Just spam the comments.
I can make a poll.
Okay, thanks. No, you can't.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
oh, you're on the Troublemaker. You're on the Troublemaker Discord. That's right. We're not on Molly's email. Okay, you're fine. Okay. Oh no, I already wrote that. It's a little bit of both, says Some Deep Mystery. Some stories spend a lot of time in my head before I start writing, and I already know certain things, but I also discover things about them as I write. That's fair. That is fair. But do you find with relationships specifically that, yeah, is it just in general, it's always going to depend? Or do you find that like when the story comes into your head, do the relationships between the characters also start developing in your head? Or do you just know that like, oh, so-and-so is X's brother, but I don't know how they feel about each other yet until I actually write their dialogue? Kelly says, I'm too much of a pantser to plan relationship dynamics. It happens organically and then I fix things later. Yep. Fair enough. Malin says, when it comes to planning, I try. But then things like the guy I didn't expect to becomes a random new love interest and now I have to deal with this. You know what, Malin? We always get hit by the surprise. We always get hit by the
with the space opera.
Mm-hmm.
Every week I was like, is this a throuple?
You really were. You really were.
Well, this couple, this love interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah. In This Book is for October, I accidentally wrote accidental BDSM. And I was like, wait, is this part of this character? Like, is this just, Anyway, yeah, no matter how much we plan or plot, the manuscript always has its secrets that it throws upon us. All right, Marta isn't here anymore, but she said she was going to watch the replay, so I'm going to react as if she's still here. Marta says, most of my relationships happen organically, but they also change a lot during revisions after I look at the story closely and figure out how that something might work better. I'm not against rewriting an entire character's personality and relationships from scratch if it's going to make the story better. But those revised relationships would be planned ahead in detail. Gotcha. Danny says, I plan stuff like if people like each other or not before I write, but the specifics don't get ironed out ahead of time. That being said, in Dragons No Dragons 2, in Dragons No Dragons, 2 of my main characters were supposed to just be professional allies, and it turns out they're in a romantic relationship. So that was weird to realize when outlining. Nina says, I plan them, but more often than not, they change a lot. I think I know my characters when in reality I do not, especially love interests often change over the first draft. Yep. Caitlin says, I'll have the intentions of relationships going into it, but the dynamics and details change as I write. The discovery of nuance is the fun part of it. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people all have similar experiences. Katie, why don't you tell us about your experience? Liz.
So, I know you all think that I'm a pantser, that I don't do anything, that I just dive into writing.
Did we? We don't think that.
I thought it missed 72-word outline for Cruel Summer.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Oh, I really wasn't counting that. Because before, it was like, you know,
I mean, she
had a million
outlined the
different
witch
outlines and
book.
everything.
Didn't you outline the witch book?
I did. I outlined the witch book. I outlined BK Self-Crime. I outlined the Wrath King rewrite. I almost said 2. Anyway, so y'all, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I had to get back in there. So basically, with every book, if I'm going to plan anything, it's going to be relationship dynamics.
Okay.
I'm very much someone who comes up, my books pretty much spring from characters anyway, and character relationship dynamics. So as I'm working on characters and as I'm writing character profiles and stuff, and thinking about like the institutions of relationships, I do tend to plan out what kind of relationship dynamics that I want, even if it's just like basic stuff, like these two people hate each other, like these two are rivals. Like it doesn't have to go anything like beyond of like why. That tends to sometimes come out more when I'm writing, but like I always have an idea of how, like a lot of people have said, how they're going to interact once they meet, especially if they're the main characters of the story. So I do plan a lot of relationship dynamics ahead of time. And to answer a sub-question 2B, to be or not to be. A lot of Hamlet today, y'all. A lot of times my relationship dynamic creation comes from designing character foils. Specifically, like when I think of who's going to be POVs. So for the Wrath King, one of the biggest themes in the Wrath King is revenge. And so each of the characters deals with revenge and bad things happening to them in all kinds of different ways. I feel like they're very much foils for each other. Except for Wesley. Wesley's just an outlier. Because Nola and Lucien are very much foils for each other, I think.
And yet they like never interact, which is so interesting.
Yeah, they're more like
they interact within the reader's head. Like you don't necessarily need to have character foils interacting with each other, so long as the reader experiences them both.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're very much revealing two different parts of looking at revenge, and they both have very interesting reversals in their revenge plots. But who knows if that book will ever be touched again. When it comes to Cruel Summer, though, a lot of the romantic relationships and how I paired people up was based on the fact that they're foils for each other, and the fact that they, one couple specifically, you look at them from the outside and they look very different. Like their personalities are entirely different, but that's just because they're both dealing with loneliness in two very different ways. But in reality, they're both incredibly lonely, and so their loneliness is ultimately what connects them. But they still are showing the two very different aspects of
something ain't gray, Bob. You gotta say, babe.
Sorry, Laura Nettle said work be cray cray, and I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
It is pretty funny.
Welcome, Laura.
Hi, Laura. Oh my God, Miranda.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, I do a lot of character design, a lot of character foils. I'm very much a foil girly and a character girly. So.
And then I guess my one follow-up question for you is, do you, though, have a similar experience as many of the people in the chat where, despite your best intentions with the start, the characters kind of come alive and go off in different directions on the page? Or do you have a good enough control? Not that the chat lacks control.
Lack control, y'all.
But like, I'm gonna backtrack and I'm gonna rephrase. Do you find that your character relationships change from your original intention as you write your draft, or do they stay pretty much the same from your original intention?
I think my character relationships tend to stay the same, but what ends up changing is plot points. So plot will change around the fact that I'm not a very good plotter. And so I'll plot things out and be like, okay, so this, and this is going to happen. And I'm like writing towards those things. But as the character relationships, and as I've come to like understand the characters in a more like physical way, like on the page, that alters the plot line, because I'm like, okay, so it makes more sense that this character would do that more internally in their own heads, as opposed to like character relationships. I feel like the relationships are really, when I write, are very much the core of the story. So I try to keep as close to that core of the story is. And if plot points aren't matching up with that core, I tend to change it.
Got it. Thank you. Crystal says, I have a general idea of how I know, sorry guys, how I want characters to interact based on their personalities. The only time I have a set plan was knowing Charles and Elizabeth were not a romantic couple. Everything else gets fleshed out as I go because I'm a plantser. Violet says, character dynamics are normally part of the foundation of my ideas, but of course things can shift a bit on page. Yeah, that was something I was thinking about, how I think for me, well, actually I think I kind of switch back and forth, but for the most part, my ideas are, what if the world was this way and we had someone who was a certain way interacting in that world? And so I'm thinking of like conception, like I think everybody thinks in concepts, but my concepts are definitely about environment. And then I think from some people's, just watching people's videos and how they come up with ideas, there are people who are like, what if you forced person A and person B to interact? And so I think that's coming at a story from a different angle that's more character driven and more dynamic driven. Morgana says, I usually know the love interest and a friendship or two, but other than that, everything kind of happens on its own as I adapt the story. But knowing someone's a love interest is kind of like knowing someone is the child of another character. Does that really signify what their relationship is? They're the love interest, but what kind of love story do they have? Is it a domineering love story? Is it how do they, that's what I mean by like, how do you define your character relationships? How do they on an interpersonal level connect with each other? Is there good communication? Is there lack of communication? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's those choices, I think, that then eventually build up and tell your story. You have two characters that are boyfriend and girlfriend at the start, or that will become boyfriend and girlfriend, but depending on how their relationship to each other will drive how the story ends up. So that's what I was trying to get at. Jessica says, a little bit of both, honestly. And character foils, what's that? I like that. How do I make my character to slow to get their highlights done? Hardy, har. Becca says, I plan out my main character, then find where they are lacking character-wise. Then I give those characteristics to other characters to either create balance or tension. That absolutely does make sense. And I kind of love that.
I think I do that.
You do?
I think so.
In what story came to mind when you said that?
I was thinking about the space opera.
Okay.
How I said earlier, like, I like to make supporting characters that the main character will like learn something from. I was thinking about how in that story Tiara is very like selfish, and there are other characters around her who are more selfless. And, she learns from them.
I love that.
Big detail.
Yeah. No, I like it.
You said you didn't do foils, but that's a foil.
Yeah, that's awesome. Becca says, for example, my main character is self-absorbed and unreliable, but very social. So I made her coworker very responsible, but she also has social anxiety. I like it. It's okay. Person B is fed up with the main character, but doesn't feel comfortable telling her, so just pretends everything is fine. And main character is not very self-aware, so it doesn't get better until it does. Da-da-da. Danny says, I don't really plan foils. It usually happens when I'm writing, and then once I see where characters already have that sort of relationship, I beef it up in revisions. Yeah, I think revising is really the sweet spot but also discovery and drafting is also a good spot for character creation, so I don't know. It's interesting. Oh, and I plan relationship dynamics ahead of time. My plot, not so much, but my character dynamics, hell yeah. Then the story writes itself, sort of. Okay, it doesn't.
I wish it did, but I also feel the same way back then because I'm like, if I care about the characters, I'll write the book.
Yeah. Miranda says, I'm trying to build foils for my next book off of fears. One of the main characters is afraid of endings, and the other is afraid of forever. Yeah. Alternatively, one of them is afraid of being seen, and the other is afraid of being hurt when it does. Playing a bit when opposites work in a relationship and when they make a relationship impossible. This is a friendship. I love exploring friendships.
I want to know more about your next book.
Who is
Miranda?
We don't have to do so. Husbands, friends. That's a good point, Danny. But we are going to do another sprint very soon. Jess was agreeing with you, Devesha, because everyone must know I ordered a steak, wrap, waffle fries, and pretzel bites for lunch.
Sounds delicious.
Oh, geez, it skipped. I'm so sorry. Oh, I was quite behind, wasn't I? Something about hearing Jess's lunch order every Friday makes me feel grounded. Like if she didn't ever tell us, I would know that I've been thrust into an alternate universe. Oh, that's amazing. Kelly says, I just be out here winging it. Which, it's fine. I enjoy these shop talks and sprints. Girl or person, it's sprints and shop talks. Okay? Or sprints and shop talk. No, it's fine. Shop talks and sprints works too. Because I don't feel as confident with my knowledge on the lingo for writing, and I know it doesn't necessarily mean I'm a bad writer, but it helps. And I feel like I can take away a bit and be able to identify the parts of my story better because I do know I can tell a story. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Miranda, this is for you, I believe. Becca says, I would. So does Morgana. Kelly. Violet. I voted no in my vote.
And Miranda's just shutting it down.
We are all Miranda stands here. It's gonna... No! Oh my goodness.
94% of people in the chat has asked for this content.
Please make it
From
Miranda. Miranda could make a 10 reasons Anna should leave AuthorTube and I would watch it and leave a like. That's so sweet. That's so sweet.
Also, like, so self-deprecating.
That is so self-deprecating, but we love a supportive friend. Somebody simply says, there is almost always at least one relationship at the heart of every story idea, usually the romance. That's what I enjoy writing, but sometimes I also have friends and fan germinating pretty early. Ooh, I don't know if I like that word, germinating.
I kind of love that.
It's
like
good, but also there's something about it that gives me the shivers. In defense of the short, cruel summer outline, the relationship dynamics already somewhat existed. That's true. I always forget it was RPF, so happy work was done for you.
Thanks for that.
Girl, this has been said a million times over.
No, it hasn't. And I would like everyone to forget.
Just go back and bleep that part out.
Just cut.
Work be cray cray.
Work be cray cray. I'm like, Miranda, how do you not know?
Kelly says, my characters change and evolve. That discovery is part of what I love about writing. It is a good discovery. It is a good part. A trailer for something I worked on dropped. It was fun to see, so cheesy, but it was fun reading the comments. Can you tell us? Or is it, can you only tell us once the movie comes out? Let us know.
Call in.
Our Google goggles, if you will. I sometimes get so lost in what's happening. I looked on my company website. It doesn't list, so she can't name it yet. Okay.
Darn it.
Oh, no. Was I buffering? Was someone buffering?
I don't think so.
Oh, dear. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Didn't want to make any assumptions based off of your name or picture. I don't even know if that's a picture of you. For the longest time, I thought Nicki Minaj attended us, but no, some random person. Also, Zendaya. Where's Paris? Thought Zendaya hung out with us. Morgana says, I base relationships on my main character personality. I know what kind of people they would avoid or get along with, but I do also daydream before writing. I put them in situations, then see what happens. I'm a big daydreamer too. Oh, okay. It was a Danny issue. Sorry. Percolating. Ooh, I don't know if I like percolating either. Maybe I'm just percolating. Do you? I think I'm in a word sensitivity kind of day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No one say clustered.
Oh, I hate that word. It's fine.
That is true. Literally. I have to rag on her for a minute. Oh,
sorry, Crystal. My B. Why are you ragging on Miranda?
So one of my books is called Invisible String, and for anyone who doesn't know, the soulmate pairing that is together at the beginning of the book does not end up together. And so it's like the soulmate thing, they have like a physical name on their wrist, like it's actually physical. And so the invisible string is like the connection of the two people who are not soulmates, but they still end up together because they're very good together. And
This
so
is my argument too.
it
I
is
always
not.
thought
It's not invisible string. It's literally visible
No,
on
that's not a
someone's arm.
string. That's a hand. That's a name. Then they have invisible strings connecting them across the universe with their soulmate, and that's what creates the name in their skin. It's the visible mark of the invisible string.
Okay, well that's not what I meant. So
No, I love your use of this word. It's just I don't know if I love this word specifically. I said germinate because I had the imagery of a seed out of sight, but putting out all those tiny roots. I love it. It's so great. It's great imagery. It's a powerful word.
I was thinking of like germinate is like babies. Do you call germination with babies? Like when
I don't
infants?
think so. That's inseminate.
No, not when they're growing. Inseminate is when they become pregnant. The string is invisible.
People are agreeing with me, and also Jess and Crystal are ganging up on me, and also my computer is now at 4%, so we're gonna hop into another sprint. I charged it during the last sprint. It's just I'm running Final Cut Pro, I'm running StreamYard, I've got a mic plugged in that's being powered by my computer. I'm asking a lot of her. She's working hard. Okay,
Why don't you have your charger over to your computer?
Because then during the sprints I can just go and lie in my bed while I edit videos.
Oh my
So
god.
it's a good time. Yeah, it's time to get into the final sprint.
And final question, right?
And the final question, that's correct.
That was the only one I prepared.
What? Rude.
Well, it's the only one I had to like actually like write stuff down for.
Yeah. So we're going to end kind of on a softball question. I think some people have touched on it before. But yeah, the question is, what are your favorite kinds of relationships to write? And what relationships do you avoid / feel you can't write well? So enjoy for our... I really did consider just doing a chaos sprint and just stopping it whenever I felt like it, but my computer needs to charge. So me being me, that chaos, I would have let you guys sprint for 30 seconds and then we would have been back. So but my computer needs to charge because now we're at 3%. Okay, here we go. Sharing the screen.
Let's do it.
We are doing, even though it's not the right season for it, somebody did request it, so it's happening. We're doing the Gemini timer. So Violet's getting a lot of love today. Happy sprinting, everyone. Y'all didn't really think I was gonna skip over a reason to be chaotic, did you? I'm ending the sprint 6 minutes early. Sorry, Violet. I don't even know if Katie and Devisha are here. My mic isn't plugged in. I don't even know if anybody can hear me. My hilarious joke might all be for naught. Let's see. Audio. Yeti. Stereo microphone. Hello, hello. Can anybody hear me? Oh no, I think I froze. Oh,
The
Jess.
sprint is still going. What's going on?
I know. I'm ending it.
Why? What's going on?
Because I feel like it. Because it's meant to be chaotic. Because someone declared a vibe only sprint, and my vibes were done. I was done. I was ready to come back.
Okay. Well, I was in the middle of a phone call, and I just hear you talking.
Well, I live every day to interrupt phone calls, so it's fine. For me, at least. Let's think. How do we want to do it this time around? My computer is actually charging this time, so we're good to
Thank
go.
goodness. Wow.
Mhm. I know. Devesha, in your anger towards me, would you like to answer this question? What are your favorite kinds of relationships to write, and what relationships do you avoid / feel you can't write well?
My favorite to write are I like friendships. I like writing like crushes, like queer pining.
Mm.
The relationships I can't write well are not established romantic relationships, but the part past, past the queer
Infatuation.
pining, past the crush. Like once they're actually
Mm.
dating,
Together.
I can't do all of that.
Oh, interesting.
Do you think it's just because you don't have like an extensive amount of experience, or is it something more than that and just that? Yeah.
That's probably the first part.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. And why? Sorry, one more time. What did you say your favorite kinds are? I know you said queer pining. Why is that one of your
Just like
favorites?
friendship. Because there's just something so wholesome about it, you know?
Hmm. I think it's sad.
Maybe you wouldn't know.
I think in general pining is sad. Is it wholesome? Is it specifically the queerness that makes it wholesome for you?
Yeah.
Okay. You enjoy it when queer people suffer, is what you're saying.
No, I like the cute queer pining, not
Okay.
the like, you know. You know, you wouldn't know, but Katie, you know.
Oh, yep.
I like
The
the
homophobia of it all.
mutual pining, not the unrequited pining.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice when it's not like, pining, but then also fearing for your life because you're living in a homophobic society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So progressive queer pining.
Aggressive queer pining. Okay.
I can get behind that one.
And what about friendships, Devesha? What about that makes a friendship so fun for you to explore in your writing?
What about friendship? It's fun to write, to explore. Just how different personalities react to things, react to each other. Different levels of friendship as well. I think is interesting to explore. You know, you can have surface level friendships that are there for like a good time, and then you have the friendships that are deeper and you know are sometimes more satisfying to write.
Satisfying in what way?
In the way that like emotionally satisfying.
Mm-hmm. What do you get emotionally out of writing friendships?
A heart boner. Oh no, Wallace.
These aren't difficult questions. Girl.
A heart boner. If I made highlight videos, that would be going in it.
right. Well, thank you. I'll let you off the hook. I'll turn to the chat. Danny says, siblings are in everything I write. It's just the dynamic I feel most connected to, and you can really do so much with it. Also, this was a question for the seasonal write-a-thon, and when my sister saw my answer on my Insta story, she messaged me like, what's up with that? Crystal says, I love writing the call you out on bullshit, but love you anyway friendships. As for what I avoid / can't write well are romantic relationships. I can't quite connect with the intimacy of romance. Yeah, it's interesting. I used to love to read romance, but now whenever I feel like I write it, I'm like, is it really that deep? Do people really talk to each other this way? Do people really feel this way about each other? Is that really a real emotion?
That's something that I always have a problem with a lot of romance books.
Mm.
In my opinion, the best romances are when the people who are in the romantic relationship are also each other's best friend. Like, I feel like a lot of the relationship dynamics and stuff are often built on being someone's best friend. Like, that's what I consider a romantic relationship. Like, the person that I would be in a romantic relationship, I would want to consider my best friend. But then there's also just like kissing and I think you're so sexy and stuff like that, which, you know, obviously if you don't connect with that intimacies of it, I'm like not saying that you have to write romance, but I think if you're gonna write a romantic relationship and you like writing friendships, lean on what you love about writing friendships, because I think that's what ultimately gives a really good connection to the reader and to the romance as you develop the romance. Because obviously it's slightly different, but I think that can be a good base to lean on if you are struggling with the romance aspect of it. From me pulling bullshit out of my ass.
Romance writer.
Newfangled romance writer. Just starting, but that's what I've leaned on.
Like the friends to intimate partners romances. I think if I tried, I could do one of those, but it's the strangers to lovers. Like, how do you become lovers from strangers?
I agree.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why all my romances, they know each other for a very long time.
Miranda left us. Morgana says, I put siblings in everything because I couldn't imagine not having them. RIP to only children, I guess. I think they help determine who a person is. Yes, as we all know, only children aren't real people. I avoid putting parents in.
My dad is not a real person.
Morgana says, I avoid putting parents in because I can't write them well. That's interesting.
See, just kidding.
Crystal says, oh, and siblings. I'm an only child. You're not a real person, Crystal. So I struggle so hard at writing it. I think that's why my current story only has siblings, because if I try romance at the same time, I'd explode. Or you could pull a George R. R. Martin and do romance between siblings. And just really go down a hole. Becca says, I'm a romance writer, so I obviously like writing about romantic relationships. Enemies to lovers and best friends to lovers are my two favorites. Give me the slow burn, please. Sorry if you guys hear little Kay getting up and walking around. Becca says, I avoid writing sibling relationships. Wow, this is an either you do or you don't kind of crowd, I guess. I'm not close to my siblings as there's a large age gap and my sister is toxic, and I'm afraid of the sibling relationships in my story sounding unauthentic. Yeah. Some Deep Mystery says, broadly, I would say I love writing relationships where the characters like to tease and harass each other on one level, but would absolutely die for each other if it was needed. Anna says, I baited for a friend who's an only child, and her sibling relationships were, gently explained that the MC wouldn't smell her missing brother's t-shirt for comfort.
Unless you're George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, that's good.
Or that Folgers commercial.
Or that Folgers commercial.
That Folgers commercial.
That's true. That's true. You're my present this year. Some Deep Mystery says, downside is I suck at banter. Like, the banter has to come to me. I cannot generate it on my own for the life of me. But, like, it comes to you. That's you generating it. Unless you're just taking banter from your real life, which is fine. But, like, if it comes to you, then you've generated it. Give yourself that credit. It's just coming from a very deep part of the brain, so it feels like it came from something
deep.
else.
Mysterious.
Oh, it's some deep, mysterious part of your brain.
That was so stupid.
I think it's brilliant. Somber Honey says, I can't think of any dynamics that I avoid. There are just some that don't really come to me when I'm planning things out, like the old mentor, young protagonist isn't something I gravitate towards. That's a really good point, Danny. Oh, great. Jess was happy that I ended the sprint early. I think that's what she's referring to. Kelly says, oh, actually, Katie, we're gonna turn to you.
Oh.
Sorry, Kelly. We're gonna get to you once Katie's done answering. Actually, no, we're gonna answer Kelly first.
Do Kelly first. Give Kelly.
I don't think of anything I would not write other than super tropey stuff. Okay, well, you got to tell us what you think that means. And one of my favorites to write is Ride or Die Besties and see what chaos occurs due to their shenanigans. That is awesome. Ride or Dies.
Love a Ride or Die.
Chaos is our branding. Get a different descriptor. Wow. Getting a little aggressive there, Danny. Fun fact, we could hear you when you said your mic was plugged in. I figured you could, but I don't know if the audio quality was as good. She likes queer pining heartstopper levels. And also some deep mystery. Also loves some mutual pining. And I'm sorry, Violet, for scaring you for ending the sprint early. All right. Catherine.
Hello. My favorite kind of relationships to write. Obviously, I love writing friends to lovers. It's really fun. Enemies to... Actually, I revised my statement. I don't love enemies to lovers. I love rivals to lovers. I feel like there's a big difference, at least for me. Because, like, enemies implies that, like, y'all would kill each other on sight. And, like, yes, I know some rivals are like, I would kill you on sight. But you don't actually mean that. Like, y'all chase a fuzzy yellow tennis ball around. Shut the fuck up. You're not that much of an enemy. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? Like, I'm not here for the Jew Nazi narrative. Okay? That's... squicks me out. Anyway.
Sure. You know they made a movie about that with the girl who was Rue in the Hunger Games?
They did?
Mm-hmm.
What movie is that?
I forget what it's called, but I saw.
How do I not know?
I saw
I
a
worked in a movie
trailer on
store.
YouTube, and I was like, "This cannot be a thing. Is it really a thing?" So, anyway, sorry, tangent.
Yeah. So I love writing those kinds of romantic relationships. I'm also, even though, because I know a lot of people are like, I love romance, but I hate siblings, or I love siblings, but I hate romance. I'm the kind of person who loves writing siblings and romantic relationships. I have a set of 4 siblings. That came out weird.
I love writing
Not what I meant.
siblings.
I don't. No Folgers over here.
Actually, yeah,
Anyway.
Katie's RPF fanfiction is also sibling incest. So
Yes, clearly.
really hitting the trifecta there.
Really hit the trifecta.
Mm-hmm.
In Cruel Summer, there is a set of 4 siblings, and what I love writing about them is what I find with siblings is oftentimes you try to help each other, but you're just so woefully bad at it. Because with siblings, you can tell someone, like I tell my brother sometimes, I'm like, you're being a fucking idiot. Here's why you're being an idiot. And sometimes that doesn't always work for, like, you know, having someone feel confident in their decisions. But like, this is my sibling. Like, I can tell him anything, you know, and he's my brother. He has to love me anyway. At least that's my experience with siblings. So I put that in there. And so I love doing that. And there's like a messiness to it. There's a dysfunctionalness to it that I love writing. So I love messy families. And then my last favorite relationship that I love to write is the old, tired mentor with young, energetic, naive student. Platonic. Only platonic. And then I avoid... Sorry. Just saw my comment.
Wait, I have to go down. Who?
Violet?
I don't know what this means. The visible human DNA. Oh my god.
I'm gonna go throw myself out a window. That is too good. It's a good joke, Violet. It's a great joke, even. But I'm gonna need you to stop.
That was amazing.
Wow. Okay. The only thing I like to avoid in writing dynamics is weird power dynamics. I don't like weird power dynamics. So like teacher, student, boss, secretary, like I don't like those. And I feel like I could never write one well enough for it to not ick me out.
Mhm.
So I don't like.
I thoroughly
weird
agree with
products.
that.
I do too. All right. Thank you for your answers, Katie. Kelly says, I feel like I write found family relationships, and I really enjoy exploring the power of friendship in my stories, to be honest, or the mentor and hero relationships. Jessica doesn't know what mutual pining is. I think that's a joke, though. Mullen tries says, I'm enjoying writing characters who start off hating each other, end up being friends due to bonding trauma further in.
Trauma bonding is fun to write.
Kelly says, I have a hard time with navigating parental relationships. In my middle grade novel, I try to put myself in the main character's mother's character, so I feel the main character has a good relationship with them. Yeah. Author as mother. Very interesting. And a heart boner is a great answer.
Thank you.
Kelly says, I feel like that makes me sound like an arrogant parent, but I like to say my parenting style is everything opposite of what my parents did, so it must be better. I think you know yourself best, right? Violet says, that's why I write A. Romance can be over the top and cheesy for teens. And that's true, too. Jessica says, we're a bunch of dimmy hoes who can't figure out how to make strangers love each other. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh my God, Katie, I love that. Thank you. I heard a hot take recently. If you can't write sex, you can't write romance. And that was when I decided to continue to procrastinate on the prequel.
I don't think that's
It was really
true.
good advice, Katie. You did a good job.
Sometimes it happens.
I would show you guys my dog, but my room is messy and my bed is not made. And a lady never shows her unmade bed, so we're not going to turn the camera around. Sorry.
Bring little K over to you.
Okay. Little K, come here.
That's a zero prodding.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm like,
Can you get up, Bubba? Come
okay.
on. Come on, get picked up. Little K. Oh my gosh. Come on. You guys should see her right now. She's just like, just look at me. With her tail wagging. Look at. Hi,
She's
baby.
so cute. Hi, Lil K. Lil K.
Her.
Love seeing Lil K.
All right. Kelly can't stand enemies to lovers. Danny doesn't mind enemies to lovers, but I rarely see it done in a way that feels realistic. The best part of waking up. Folgers.
Folgers in your cup. Your cup is incest. You get a raise too.
Oh, that was awesome. Oh man. I like situational enemies to lovers, like the two people are on opposite sides of something, but the two of them specifically aren't enemies. Romeo and Juliet, anyone? This is iconic that I showed it twice. I'm not right now. I'll give it to her once the stream is over. For anybody who doesn't know, Jessica sent little K a whole bag of treats in my NaNoWriMo survival kit, and I decided it would be funny if I trained my dog to recognize the name Jessica Williamson. I can't say it, otherwise she'll get excited. And so now whenever I ask, do you want a Jessica Williamson? She gets very, very excited, and I give her a treat. So, and now my whole family is surrounding, like, do you want to our dog? And so all these people who don't know who Jessica is, I'll say her name on a daily basis.
And now she won't do anything without a Jessica.
No, she won't. She's very disobedient now, which is too bad because she used to be a very obedient dog, but now she's learned that if there ain't a cookie, it ain't worth doing. Jessica says, I typically only write about characters with younger siblings, which is weird because I'm the youngest sibling. That is weird.
Maybe it's because you're an aunt.
Yeah.
That could be it.
Yeah.
An aunt sometimes can be like an older sibling.
Yeah, for sure. And then as for me, I am going to answer this question.
Yes.
I think in terms of from trying to analyze, it's hard because with all my chocolate short stories, I don't think I'm not going to approach those. I'm just talking about my novels. I see a pattern in my stories where I typically write relationships where there is a wronged party and how the relationship spins out from there. I spent a very long time exploring forgiveness between a wronged party and the person who held themselves responsible for what happened. And now I'm really exploring the opposite end of that, but there's also still that question mark of, is forgiveness appropriate here? And yeah, I think even though it makes me uncomfortable, romance is really something that I tend to write. Hello?
Do you need help? Blink twice if you need help.
Are you okay, babe?
Slap the keyboard.
Where are you going with it? Why did you
Anyway, that's my answer.
What were you
feel
saying about romance?
I feel like romance is my answer to both of these, right? It's part A and part B, because I enjoy coming up with stories I think are romantic, but I don't think I write them well. So that's and I would say romantic versus sexual. I very rarely ever write an overt romance. In fact, the first novel I ever wrote, I designed it so the two characters literally physically it was impossible for them to touch each other. So, and I was like, great, this is going to be a romance of the mind. Da da da. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in today's Sprints and Shop Talk. Sorry that Steve couldn't join us. I feel like he would have had some great insights to the questions today. Devesha, do you have any final thoughts about anything? This is your soapbox. In fact, do you have a gripe? Because
No.
oh damn, because I do have that little prompt. But yeah, what are your final thoughts on anything? It's your soapbox, Devesha.
I don't have any final thoughts. None that are good anyway.
Okay.
Give us a bad thought.
You can give us a bad thought.
I'm just, I don't wanna go back to I don't wanna bring it down.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Gotcha.
Katie, do you have any final thoughts?
Keep me in your thoughts and prayers as I struggle to write.
Will do. Will do. My final thoughts are everybody go take care of yourselves today. The news of the world can be scary. Lean in on your communities and find strength and hope there. All right. We so appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for coming. Have a decent weekend. And outro.
Well,
Go
it's
history.
Oh shit! Right, I forgot. I had to say something. Sorry.